Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive.
Always exciting to be back.
Today we're going to be looking at social psychology.
Yeah, one of my favorite topics.
We got some fascinating research lined up all about the surprising ways people's thoughts and actions can be shaped by those around them.
It's really amazing how much our environment can influence us.
Definitely, even when we don't realize it.
Absolutely. And it kind of makes you wonder,
About
like how much control we really have over our own choices.
Right. Yeah, like, think about it for a second.
Yeah.
You probably act differently at a family dinner than you do at, say, a concert.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Our behavior is totally context dependent.
And sometimes the situation is just so strong
Oh, yeah,
that it can, like, override your own personal value.
absolutely. And sometimes even your intentions.
There's a really famous study that illustrates this perfectly.
Mm.
It's the one where people were told to deliver electric shocks to another person.
Oh, yeah, that study sparked a lot of debate.
I bet.
Yeah, about ethics and research. But if you can look past the controversy, the findings were really revealing.
What did they find?
Well, over 60% of the participants were willing to give what they thought were potentially lethal shocks,
Wow.
simply because an authority figure was telling them to.
Jeez. It really makes you think how you would react in that situation.
For sure.
It's kind of scary.
Yeah.
Would you disobey? Like, even when someone in a position of authority is pressuring you?
It is a chilling thought. I mean, it really highlights the power that authority figures can have over our actions.
Totally. Even when those actions go against our morals.
It's true. And it's not just authority figures that can influence us either.
Oh, you mean like our peers?
Exactly. Our peers can too. There's another study, a classic one, that explored this whole conformity thing.
Oh, yeah. I think I know what you're talking about. The one with judging the length of lines?
That's the one.
I remember learning about that.
It's so interesting.
What was so fascinating about it?
The answer was so obvious. But when everyone else in the group gave the wrong answer, the participants started to doubt themselves.
No way.
Yeah, and they ended up conforming to the group's judgment, even though it was clearly wrong.
Wow. It's amazing how easily we can be swayed by what other people think, even when we know they're wrong.
It's true.
I wonder what causes that. Is it like a fear of being left out?
Probably a bit of that. Psychologists call that normative conformity. It's that desire to fit in and be accepted.
Right. Makes sense.
But there's also this thing called informational conformity, which is where we assume the group knows more than we do.
So sometimes we want to be liked, and other times we just think the group's got it figured out.
Pretty much.
It's like, how much of our behavior is really our own?
Right. How much is just coming from the social pressure around us?
It's a good question.
Definitely. It's like this constant back and forth between our own individual tendencies and whatever's happening socially around us.
That's a really interesting way to put it.
Thanks. And I think it's a good reminder that we should always be questioning things.
Like questioning our assumptions.
Exactly. And thinking critically about the information we're getting.
Instead of just blindly following everyone else.
Couldn't agree more.
So we've seen how situations can make us conform or even follow instructions that go against what we believe.
Right.
But what about the flip side? When do people actually step up and help someone in need?
Ooh, that's where things get even more interesting.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
You would think that the more people are around, the more likely someone would be to jump in and help during an emergency.
Right. That seems logical.
But actually, it often turns out to be the opposite.
Really. That doesn't make sense. You'd think a bigger crowd means more potential helpers.
You would, but it's something called the bystander effect. When there are lots of witnesses, everyone feels less responsible to act.
So like we spread the responsibility out among the whole group.
Exactly. We just assume someone else is going to call for help or do something.
That's a scary thought.
It is. And there's research showing that even how we're feeling inside can affect how willing we are to help.
What do you mean?
Like one study found that seminary students...
So people who've dedicated their lives to helping others.
Exactly. They were less likely to help someone when they were in a hurry.
Wow. That's wild.
Yeah.
Even with the best intentions, sometimes just the situation can stop us from doing the right thing.
Yeah, it's true.
I guess we have to be more aware of our surroundings and make a conscious effort to notice who might need our help.
I think that's a great takeaway. Sometimes just noticing that nobody else is doing anything can be enough to snap you out of that bystander effect.
Yeah, I can see that. So we've talked about obedience, conformity, and helping behavior.
Right. All these different forces that affect how we act with each other.
Exactly. What about attraction, though? What makes us interested in certain people?
That's a question that has fascinated people for centuries.
For sure.
And the answer is a lot more complicated than you might think.
Okay, I'm listening.
There's some fascinating research that suggests we can sometimes misinterpret our feelings.
Misinterpret them how?
Well, we can mistake feelings of arousal for romantic attraction.
Wait, you're saying we can think we're in love when we're actually just anxious?
Pretty much. There's a really famous study about this. Men who met a woman on a high-swaying bridge found her more attractive than men who met her on a stable bridge.
Because they were scared?
The theory is that, yeah, the physical arousal from being on that shaky bridge got mixed up with their feelings about the woman.
Wow. So our brains can trick us into thinking we're smitten when actually we're just a little freaked out.
It's crazy, right? It just shows how easily our emotions can be affected by things happening around us.
For sure. And then once we find someone attractive, that changes how we treat them.
And that can even change how they act back to us.
So it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Exactly. If you think someone is charming, you'll probably treat them in a way that brings out their charm.
Even if they weren't being charming before.
Exactly. There's even research that shows that men who thought they were talking to an attractive woman on the phone rated her as more engaging.
Even though they never saw her.
Yep. It's all about perception.
So what we believe about people can actually change how they behave.
It's powerful stuff. And that brings us to another really cool area of research, the whole idea of fixed versus malleable intelligence.
Okay. This should be good.
I think you'll find it fascinating. It's a really interesting idea, right? This whole fixed versus malleable intelligence thing.
Yeah, so for a long time, people thought that intelligence was basically fixed. Like you're born with a certain amount and that's it.
Like eye color.
Yeah, exactly. But research has shown that's not really true.
It's way more complex than that.
So you're saying our beliefs about intelligence can actually affect our ability to learn.
Absolutely. Studies have shown that if you believe you can become smarter, you're more likely to actually improve.
Really? So like a self-fulfilling prophecy kind of thing?
It is. People with what's called a growth mindset, they tend to embrace challenges and keep going even when things get tough.
Because they believe intelligence is malleable, that it can change.
Exactly. They see effort as the key to success.
Whereas people with a fixed mindset, they think intelligence is set in stone.
Right. And they tend to avoid challenges and give up more easily.
It's like they're afraid to prove themselves wrong.
Kind of. And the amazing thing is these mindsets can be developed.
Oh, really? So you can actually change your mindset from fixed to growth.
You can. There was a study where they praised kids for their effort instead of their intelligence.
And what happened?
Over time, those kids actually performed better.
So it's better to focus on the process rather than just the end result.
Exactly. It's all about fostering that love of learning and believing in your own potential.
I love that. So we've talked about how our beliefs about intelligence can affect our learning, but what about how our beliefs about other people can affect how they act?
Oh, that's a great point. It goes back to that idea of self-fulfilling prophecies that we were talking about before.
Right. So if we believe someone is, let's say, intelligent and charming, we might treat them differently.
And they might actually start to act more intelligent and charming.
Even if they weren't really acting that way before.
It's true. Our expectations can really influence people's behavior.
It's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it.
It is. It really highlights the power of our perceptions and how they can shape our reality.
This has been such a fascinating deep dive.
I agree.
We've learned about how our surroundings can influence us, how our beliefs about intelligence can affect our learning, and how our perceptions of others can actually change their behavior.
It's amazing how much social psychology can teach us about ourselves and the people around us.
It really is. And for our listeners out there, I encourage you to think about the beliefs you hold and how they might be shaping your experiences.
Are you embracing challenges and seeing them as opportunities to grow, or are you letting fear hold you back?
Social psychology gives us a whole new way of looking at the world.
And understanding our place in it.
So use this knowledge to make positive changes in your life and the lives of those around you.
Absolutely. And remember, this is just a glimpse into the world of social psychology.
There's so much more to explore.
So keep learning, keep questioning, and keep diving deeper.
You never know what amazing insights you might discover. Okay, so we've covered how our beliefs about intelligence can actually impact how we learn.
Right. It's not just about inherent ability.
So much more to it.
Exactly.
It's like what we believe can actually become our reality.
Yeah, that's the power of self-fulfilling prophecies.
We were talking about those earlier.
It applies to so many areas of life.
Right. Like if we think someone's intelligent, we might treat them differently.
Exactly. And then they might actually start acting more intelligent.
It's wild how that works.
It really is. But it also shows how we can use this knowledge to our advantage.
You mean like to improve ourselves?
For sure. And to help others reach their potential, too.
This has been such an incredible deep dive.
I've really enjoyed it.
Me too. We've learned so much about how our environment can influence us, how our beliefs about ourselves can impact our abilities, and how our perceptions of others can actually shape their behavior.
It's amazing how much social psychology can reveal about human nature.
It really is. And for our listeners, I hope this deep dive has given you some food for thought.
Definitely.
Like, think about the situations you're in and how they might be affecting you.
Are you conforming to the group, even when you disagree?
Are you letting the bystander effect prevent you from helping someone?
And what about your beliefs about yourself? Are you embracing challenges, or are you letting fear hold you back?
Social psychology provides us with these incredible tools to understand ourselves and the world around us.
And to create positive change.
So keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep learning.
There's always more to discover.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.